A second category that works along with grid is the category of group. Group refers to the extent to which a communal identity and expectations and privileges are shared and valued by a culture. So in one of the things that a high group culture has a lot of criteria for what it means to be a member of that community. It's a little bit different than social identity. Social identity in anthropological terms is usually established in terms of opposition to others. So we might establish a social identity by saying, you know, we're Americans, not Canadians, or we're Christians, not Muslims. So there's that sort of against element in social identity. Group is a little bit different. It's defined in terms of what's required to be considered a member, not against, but in terms of being a member. Let me give you a couple examples. In a low group culture, such as the Anglo culture in the U.S., people feel this generalized sense of connection to each other, but they also feel great freedom to make choices unconstrained by cultural expectations. In white culture, people are more aware of how their actions might embarrass them personally and less aware of how their actions might embarrass their family or their community or even their country. That's a low group culture. There's not a tightly held set of common values of communal identity. In a high group culture, members feel very responsible for one another, and the good of the community comes before the good of the individual. Decisions are made not in light of what's good for me personally, but what's good for the whole group. Now those are ends of a spectrum, and there's a whole range of cultures along this spectrum. One church I know of could be described as high group in this way. To become a member, you had to go through a lengthy membership class, and then in order to become a member, you had to commit to being in a small group. The relationships were invested with social and symbolic meaning. There were a lot of requirements to be a member. It wasn't just sort of easy to become a member. And so that was because the culture was high group. That was something very valued. In a low group church, this setting is more likely to allow you to be anonymous. The group doesn't put a lot of expectations on the individual. Some churches have no formal or very few even informal membership criteria, and that would be examples of a low church. Of a low group culture. And remember, when I talk about culture, you can apply these categories to a church culture, an ethnic culture, a family culture, a work culture.